Hello and welcome all to Race Spec Pacific Division Tier 2, and it is the opening round tonight. I'm your host, Jaden. It is absolutely wonderful to have your company here this evening for this opening round here in Barcelona for Tier 2, a new season, and it's sure to be an action-packed one as well. A lot of new drivers on the grid. This is my first time commentating this tier as well, so I've got a bit of a learning curve tonight, learning which drivers are the best, and we'll see what we're going to see tonight out on track here in Barcelona. It's going to be an interesting race for sure, and we kick it off with a short qualifying and followed by a 50% race, as is generally the norm. 18 drivers on the grid this evening. So should be a very exciting race ahead. Drivers already making their way out onto the track, and should be an absolute ripper of a qualifying. We'll see what kind of times drivers are going to be putting up early, and we'll kick it on board with Dan the Racer to begin the season. The first hot lap, a banker lap to start us off. There's an Alfa Romeo just in front of him. Could get a nice slipstream from that. But yeah, this is the first of a 12-round season here in the Pacific Tier 2. So not a whole lot of time. You've got to really make your races count within those 12 races. And Dan the Racer making his way into the first couple corners here and holds it together relatively cleanly. Keeps it hugged to the inside around that nice little bend through the first sector, and just letting the car run a little bit wide, maybe a bit too wide onto the grass there from Dan the Race. You can see not using ARS either, so really just warming up this lap, and I think probably going to be happy to let this one go. Not going to be his fastest time. And we'll just run you through the lineups tonight. As you can see, the two McLaren drivers, Masticles and Dan the Racer, both out on track. And Masticles is pushing a bit harder. He's catching up to his teammate. So they're the two McLarens. We'll see how they go. Ron Burgundy in the Mercedes. Funana, I believe he's reserving tonight. My name's Jeff in the Haas. And then Eli in the Aston Martin. And Banana Cake crossed the line first with a 1:12.5. Dan the Racer a 1:14.9. And Masticles with a 1:11.8. So it's a very solid time for him for a banker lap. We'll continue to run through the field here. We've got Kiwi in the Williams, followed by Keegs in the Mercedes, Andre in the Red Bull Clean Break, Twitch, Liddy, Steely, and then Folly 8, With Me Teeth, False, and Honest Crook. So we'll see who has the wood on one another during this qualifying session. And we're on board with Andre here with the DRS open and towards this final sector. And as is with most tracks, you can go one or two ways with the setup. You can go for a bit lower downforce, more straight line speed, or high downforce, more speed in the corners. And both work pretty well. It depends really what you're more suited to, as Andre goes with the fastest lap of 1:11.6. That's a very solid start to his campaign for the season. And we'll see if he can continue to improve. So some solid banker laps being set across the board. And we'll have a look at Steely in the Ferrari, who is now coming up to that final corner. DRS opening now. And it's a 1:12.1, puts him in P5. So pretty handy start from him. We're watching Eli in the Aston Martin now. And just a little bit hesitant to turn in there. He's invalidated, unfortunately for him. It's a very tricky beast to handle. The final sector is one you really need to nail at this track. Here goes Liddy around the final corner. No chicane there, of course, as that has been recently taken out. Eli is actually retired at the final corner. I'm not sure if that might have been into the pit wall or not. Yes, it was. And that's a massive shame. These first qualifying of the season has ended as quickly as it started. No lap times set for him, so a lot of work to do during the race, unfortunately. But we'll move on here. We'll see Keegs, he's invalidated his lap. We're going to watch Foliate here, starting his lap in the Alpine, first of the season. And getting up to around 325 down the main straight into turn 1. And he's done pretty nicely there. And looking very comfortable for this first part of the track. And it's going to be a 21.7 through the first sector, but then runs a bit wide and then gets just on the power a little bit too early there. Big snap. Thankfully, he was able to save it before he went spinning off into the barriers. But unfortunately, his lap time will not be as competitive as he would have hoped. But there's still plenty of time left in this session to rectify it. Now making his way through. DRS going to be open now. And good early signs here from the Alpine. From the rest of the lap, just that one little mistake that hurt him in the end. Now here he goes around this, what is now the quick right-hander, followed by another right-hander into the main straight. Makes for a lot better overtaking opportunity in the race with those revamped set of corners. Foliate goes 12th of the 113.3. We were expecting him to be a little bit lower down the pack based on the error earlier on. And a few drivers now starting to work their way out onto the track for their second run. And we're looking at Kick Butt Kiwi, which is a good name. Well, we'll see how he's tracking as he makes his way towards the final corner. And we'll go on board with him here to see if he can improve on that 112.1 that he set initially. He's in P7 at the moment. Fortunately, a few drivers unable to make it tonight. They'll be starting on the back foot as Kiwi makes his way through the first couple of corners. Takes a fair bit of curb there out of turn 2. And lifts off from that lap, so might have another crack on the next go around. We'll have a look at Banana Cake. He's up a 1/10.5. See, now 3/10 entering the final sector. And absolutely flying along now. We'll see where the Alfa Romeo can go. Here he comes now to the final corner. Clean break in the meantime. The Ferrari goes 4th. Banana Cake goes 9th. So Andre still untouched up in provisional pole at the moment. As I say that, Funana goes pole by about 5/10. So that is a very impressive second run for him. We'll see if any more drivers can produce anything of the sort there. But what can Andre respond with? His first place has just been taken off him. And he's going to have an opportunity to fight back here. DRS open down the main straight as he starts his second flying lap of the evening. And it looks like the two up top are going to be contesting. It's hotly contested between these two at the moment. So we'll see if that continues into the race as well. As Andre now keeping it nice and tight to the inside. And a 121.73 in the first sector, just slightly down on his previous best. He's going to need a lot more than that if he wants to make any inroads into that deficit. And now the left-hander uphill, he takes pretty well. And might get a little bit of a distance slipstream from that Alpine in front. We'll see if that benefits at all. He's up a 1/10.5 now. And Banana Cake has retired. I believe that's in the pit lane. So no better than 9th for him. Oh, and there's a little bit of a moment there for Andre. Got caught on the curb. I think that's probably going to cost him an improvement on his lap time here. He's pushing very hard. And he just improves by a very marginal amount. But yeah, that moment really might have cost him a shot at provisional pole there. Kick Butt Kiwi in the meantime ties Mastical's lap time of a 1:11.845. With that lap time coming after, obviously, Kiwi in 4th. So from P2 down to P7 at the moment, it is very tight, 0.3 the difference. The AlphaTauri comfortably ahead of the field at the moment. We'll see if that changes in the next few minutes. And we'll see if any drivers are looking to have another crack here late on. 7 minutes to go. A few drivers might just be waiting, gearing up for their final attempts. We'll have a look at Honest Crook here, who's setting his first lap time of the evening. And runs a little bit wide there, but is able to hold it together. It was a 21.9 through the first sector, so a little bit just slightly off the pace. We'll see what he can do through this middle sector. And now this quick right-hander can be the cause for problems for a few drivers. There's a few corners here that can definitely catch you out if you're not careful. But they've been navigated successfully so far by the Alfa Romeo. And now here we go to the final corners. He turns in quite early, gets caught on the curb, spits him out a bit wider than where he would have wanted to be. And as a result, the lap time is not optimal for him, of a 1:13.5, which puts him in P16. Still plenty of time here. Most drivers will be able to get 1 or 2 more attempts in. Here goes Masticals, improving to the line here and moves himself into P2. Still a fair way off that pole time, which is looking very solid at this stage, but slowly closing in on what the AlphaTauri has set. And now the man on provisional pole is going to try and extend his position here. And looking very solid early on in the lap here. Very comfortable through those first couple of corners, but it is still not as good as what his previous best was. It was an absolute flyer, and as you can see, just a bit squiggly out of the exit there. So we'll see if he can make any impression on that best lap time. But it's going to be difficult. He might get one more chance after this. DRS Open, and you can see just the pace that he's got here. And I think he's just dropped off a little bit through that final sector. He's almost a second down. So I don't think there'll be any improvement for that AlphaTauri. Clean break, however, has got a slight improvement. He's in 5th and is very close to the drivers in front. So here he goes, rounding the final corner now. Is this going to be good enough to get him onto the front row potentially? No, not quite. He was very close to Andre's time, but it's going to be P4 for him at the moment. There's been a few solid qualifiers at the moment. Masticals and Andre have set a couple consistent times early on, and now pretty much every driver into the pit lane to prepare for their final run. 4 minutes left in the session. Expect to see a couple of drivers start to roll out in the next minute or so. But at the moment, Funana in the AlphaTauri looks to have to be on top at this stage. 0.3 the gap. It is going to take an incredible effort from any of the drivers to knock that off, considering where they've started at the moment. But anything is possible here, and it's going to be a hotly contested battle for those next 2 positions as well, 2nd and 3rd. You can see there's a few drivers that are very close, and then there's also a few drivers that haven't really set a realistic time yet, made a couple of mistakes. So now a couple of drivers coming out, and yeah, Clean Break got disqualified there. Not exactly sure what he was trying to do. But that means he's going to be out of this session. He's going to go all the way down to the back of the grid. And that is going to be very painful for that Ferrari. So that's really opened up this battle now. We're watching the Aston Martin. And he's down in P11. He's going to be the first to start his final lap. Can he make any impression? Can the Haas make any impression as well? And it's going to be a big couple minutes here to decide who's going to start on pole position, who's going to start in the top 5. And drivers starting to roll out now with 2 minutes to go. We're going to watch the Aston Martin of With Me Teeth here. And now the DRS open. Going to be flying down towards turn 1. Going to give it everything here on the final attempt. And through he goes. He's taken that pretty well. He's set a 1:12.4 as his previous best, so this is looking to be a slight improvement at this stage. It's a 1.5 tenths. It's good enough. Now, can he keep that going through the middle and the end part of the lap here? There's a Red Bull who's stopped there. Hopefully it didn't distract him at all. And now uphill into the left and then back to the right. And then straight into the DRS zone. Try to carry as much speed as possible. And he's done pretty well there. We'll see what the split time is. It's going to be almost 3.5 tenths. That'll be good enough to get him up to around P7, P8. But unfortunately, he's just lost it a little bit there. Is that going to hurt him? Oh, he's had to correct a couple times. He's lucky to still be on this lap, but his gain is going to be all but cut out here, unfortunately, for the Aston Martin. We'll see what he comes up with. It's a 1:13.3, and that really hurts. He had a really positive start to that lap. And the Haas just behind is not on a realistic time, but he has one more chance. And we're going to have a look at Kiwi here, the first of the top 5 on their final lap, and he's down through the first sector. So pressure really on here, and he turns in quite sharply, and not quite the optimal line there for the Williams, and it's going to cost him there. So 2 tenths down. I think that's going to rule out pole position for him. And we're going to have a look at Andre, who held that provisional pole for a reasonable amount of time in this session. Going to try and snatch it back here. And he is ever so slightly up on his time. Qualifying now finished. Everyone who's on a lap has to complete it. The Williams of Kiwi will finish no better than 4th. And Davis comes in at the last moment and takes P4 off the Williams. What about Andre now? Coming uphill through the middle sector. And the McLaren is on a lap behind him, as is the pole sitter of Funan Na. And now here goes Andre. And oh no, he's lost a bit of time there, so I don't think he's going to be improving on this lap. What about Masticles? He's pulled out as well. The AlphaTauri still going here. And it looks like he's going to grab pole position, but going to continue just in case. And it's been a dominant display from the AlphaTauri driver, and he's going to cross the line now. And is it going to be an even further improvement? No, it's not. But it's going to be good enough here, unless Steely can do anything about it. Crossing the line now, and he's improved up to P5. That is pretty solid effort from him, but not enough to challenge the front runners. What a fantastic session that was for Funana there. Masticles manages to hang on to 2nd, and Liddy ended up coming P3 in the end. I didn't see that. That must have been a lap right on the buzzer there. And then Andre down to P4. Unfortunately, the drivers who were sitting in the top 4 before those final runs just couldn't get that lap together right at the end to improve. And the drivers that did were rewarded there. So an interesting session. AlphaTauri on top, and followed by Masticles in the McLaren, Liddy, and then Andre, Steely in the Ferrari, Davis in the Alpine bobbed up right at the end. Kiwi unfortunately didn't get that last lap together. He's down in 7th, and then Ron Burgundy in the Mercedes had a quiet qualifying in P8, Banana Cake in P9, and then Jeff in P10. And then you can see the rest of the field there. Unfortunately for that other Ferrari, disqualified from qualifying, looked on for a potential top 5 start, but wasn't to be, and now plenty of work to do in this race, which is sure to be an absolute belter. And a few drivers obviously weren't able to get their best time in, which they'll be frustrated about, but there's a long way to go this evening and for the rest of the season to make up for it. Drivers just selecting their setups now. It'll be interesting to see what tyre most drivers opt to go on here, but we're about to get underway for the race here. The first race of the season in Tier 2. Lights coming on now, and we are underway. Great start from Masticles and the McLaren, already looking to come alongside the AlphaTauri. And drivers just settling into position here. Looks to be 3 wide just behind them here. The Ferrari on the outside, Red Bull of Andre down the inside. Manages to make those moves, so he's up into P3. Very nicely done by that Red Bull. Looks like they've gotten pretty clean through the first couple corners. And Steely having a look at the back of Liddy here. But the AlphaTauri has gotten away cleanly, and the McLaren behind. And there's a bit of jostling going on here. Wheel to wheel, the Alpine and the Williams. Davis running a little bit wide there. Just managing to stay on the track, trying to force himself down the inside. But Kiwi is just able to hold him off. And then Jeff slots in behind. There's a yellow towards the back. And it looks like an Aston Martin and an Alpine there have both gone off. But thankfully, still both running in this race. And we'll look a little bit further up the field here. Liddy making a move on Andre, trying to win that position back. And they go wheel to wheel there. And it looks like... Liddy's actually going to make up 2 places here, possibly now. Wheel to wheel with Masticles. This would be absolutely fantastic if he can do it. And he does. 2 overtakes in the space of 2 corners. And that's not generally where you see most of the overtaking take place. So that was very opportunistic by the Haas there. We'll see how long he can hold on to those positions for. And it's still pretty close up the top, but that AlphaTauri of Funana is absolutely flying away. 1.5 seconds the lead, and everyone else jostling for position behind. We'll have a look at the tyre situation now. And it's either mediums or softs for most drivers, except for the Alfa Romeo of Honest Crook, who's opted for the hards. So the Mercedes here of Ron Burgundy on the softs really wants to make some early inroads here before those tyres start to die out. And you can see him putting pressure on Andre here at this stage. And just being held up a little bit here, it looks like, by Masticles. Liddy is already starting to pull a gap, and he's had a fantastic start to this one. And it's very hotly contested here from 3rd down to about 8th or 9th here. And a sweeping move to the inside, it looked like, by the Alpine, but to no avail. And we get to the end of lap 2 here, and most drivers have held station. Liddy's been able to get his way through into 2nd place, and that AlphaTauri is absolutely flying away here. I think most of the other drivers are going to struggle to catch him as this race goes on. And we're going to look a little bit low down the field. Banana Cake chasing after Davis here. Alfa Romeo versus Alpine. But DRS coming on this lap, so should make overtaking just that little bit easier. Andre still putting pressure on Masticles in the McLaren, who has gone backwards off the start. Started P2, had a really good start, but unfortunately now has dropped back to P3, and now Andre all over the back of him, putting pressure on. And he's already dropped a bit of a gap to the cars in front. So is this going to be the opportunity for Andre here? DRS now open. Not quite close enough on this occasion though. A little bit further down the field, Kiwi trying to hang on to the cars in front. And everyone's slowly but surely settling their way into this race. And there's a spin there for the Mercedes of Ron Burgundy, and he's had a collision with the Williams there. So a 5-second penalty for him. And unfortunately, the camera angle was shocking there, so we didn't get to quite see what happened. In the meantime, Andre moves into the top 3, getting his way past the McLaren, and there's another move yet to be made. Here goes Kiwi down the inside of the Haas, and it was a bold move. The Aston Martin as well, getting through Eli on the Ferrari there. And a few moves already being made within one lap of the DRS turning on. A good run here for Banana Cake. He's going to try and make it around the outside of the Ferrari. He has to run wide there, and still could be an opportunity here for him. He's got the inside line now, and he has. He's done that magnificently there, has Banana Cake. And off into the gravel goes the Haas of Jeff there, and he's taken out a couple of the signs there, and he's going to lose some places, it looks like. And now he's wheel to wheel with the Ferrari. Steely is able to make his way around the outside and somehow avoids incident. This midfield battle has been scintillating early on in this race, and it's been lovely to watch. And now, just looking a little bit further back, the Mercedes of Keegs is struggling here. And he's got the Ferrari a clean break, who started in last already, made his way up to P11. So a really positive start for him. And we'll see what's going to happen down this DRS straight. I imagine there's going to be a few moves. It looks like the McLaren's going to get back past the Red Bull of Andre. And you can see them all darting and weaving here as the Aston Martin of Eli goes past Kiwi into 5th place. And they've got a little bit of a gap to the top 4 now, have the rest of the midfield. So we'll see how that eventuates. But here goes clean break, and the Ferrari's had some great pace early on down the inside of the Mercedes, who doesn't want to allow him through easily. And I think they might have just avoided contact there. Is clean break going to have a go around the outside? He does brake late, trying to force that Mercedes into a mistake, but nothing doing there, and just has to stick behind for the moment. But there will be another DRS zone coming up very shortly. And in the meantime, the other Mercedes of Ron Burgundy's dropped down to 16th after his spin. So slowly fighting his way back into the race. That Ferrari still trying to fight back, but it doesn't look like he's going to get through at this stage. That Mercedes is sandwiched between both the Ferraris, so it's going to be a tough time for him. And now we're going to go back on board with Andre, who's been exchanging positions with the McLaren, and the DRS is open, so you'd suggest that it's going to happen once again here. Just using each other's slipstream to pull away from the rest of the field. There he goes. And now Kiwi and Eli are going to do the same. And the Alfa Romeo of Banana Cake is going to have a go at the Aston Martin as well. And they make contact. And somehow the Alfa Romeo avoids spinning around. That is incredible. But unfortunately, not the best display of driving there from the Aston Martin. It was probably just a little bit more at fault there, and as a result, Jeff and the Haas was able to find a way through. But no damage done. The race is still on for them too. Could have been far worse than the outcome there. And the Aston Martin is getting quite close to Banana Cake here. And we'll see if he can make any impression. It doesn't look like it at the moment. And the AlphaTauri of Funana, 1.6 in the lead. Someone looked to go a little bit wide there. There's a yellow towards the back. That's Ron Burgundy again for a second time. Has gone round in this race already in the first 6 laps. So not the start he would have been hoping for. Now we're going to watch as Banana Cake tries to take on the Haas, and he's going to do it with ease. Masticles gets past Andre again. They exchange places for yet another lap. I imagine we're going to see that a few more times as this race goes on. Running wide was Eli there. It's going to leave him vulnerable to the Ferrari of Steely here. And he's got a good run, does Steely, down the inside. Eli low on battery also, so the pressure is on. And the Ferrari makes his way back up into 8th place after having started up in 5th, I believe. And manages to hold it through that corner as well. We'll see if the Aston Martin has any answer throughout the next lap or two. And now we make our way back up the front to watch this great battle Andre and Masticles fighting for that podium place. Looks like Liddy in the Haas is almost out of view in front. He's got some brilliant pace early on. But it's been great from these two. It's been great from the midfield drivers as well. Clean break has now gotten past Eli as well. So those Ferraris moving up the field in tandem here. We'll see if they can continue. And we're 8 laps into this race. And it's been an interesting start here, as there's a 3-second penalty for Eli. He's been a bit all over the place in these first few laps, so he's going to need to make a few adjustments if he wants to have any sort of chance later on in this race. Jeff getting very close to Banana Cake there out of turn 1, but unfortunately can't make anything of that. And just has to stick behind for now. So we're going to have a look at the position changes now, just to give you an indication. And Clean Break is now up 9 places from the back of the grid. Eli up 7, so they've been the big winners so far. And Banana Cake and Jeff as well up 3 places each, so they've had some good starts. And that's a poor exit from the Aston Martin there. So the Mercedes is going to have an opening here, and he does get through, does Keegs into 10th place. And we'll look into the midfield here. The 2 Ferraris have shown some pretty good pace so far. So we'll see if they can make any impression on the drivers in front also. And Clean Break getting quite close to his teammate, not close enough to make any sort of move. Andre manages to stay ahead of Masticles down that straight. And Banana Cake and Kiwi holding station as well. So drivers just starting to settle into their stints now, more in tyre conservation mode as they try and make their strategies work here to the end of the race. And not too much fierce battling as we saw earlier on. And the drivers just going through the motions now. Funana out front, 2.2 seconds the gap, just cruising out front with Liddy in pursuit, setting pretty similar lap times. Looks like the AlphaTauri is just managing a bit so as to not damage the tyres too much, to try and extend that stint out as long as possible. And then you got Andre and Maskell still fighting it out. They've been fantastic all race long. I think Eli's had a bit of a moment there. He's dropped quite a few positions. And we'll have a look at this 3-car battle between Kiwi, Banana Cake and Jeff. We'll have a look on board Jeff's perspective here. It looks like they're both going to be able to get past the Williams. Is the Haas going to try and have a look at the Alfa Romeo? It would have been very risky if he did. Now Eli has a 5-second for speeding in the pit lane and is going to retire from this race. And it just hasn't been his race so far this evening. So unfortunately for him, he's going to be the first retirement of the night. As we continue here, almost a third of the way through. This race has absolutely flown by early on here. And now Jeff still putting pressure on Banana Cake. Kiwi is sitting behind in 7th. Just the DRS train is sort of forming at this stage. The drivers just exchanging positions every lap or so. And there's been a moment here for Foliate in the Alpine, struggling to get it back on track. And unfortunately that's gonna cost him quite a few places, down to 15th now. And he'd be making good gains. He started in 16th, made his way up to about 11th or 12th, I believe, before that moment. So a bit of frustration creeping in there. And now we see, here we go, Jeff making his way past the Alfa Romeo. The Williams of Kiwi trying to make an approach, but just sticking behind at the moment. The Ferrari's getting a little bit bogged down by this battle in front. And it's a great run for Kiwi here on Banana Cake. Could be an opportunity here as he comes alongside him down the inside. And they managed to keep it clean. It looks like Kiwi's got the move done here. And Banana Cake sticks behind. A great move by the Williams into 6th place. Lovely work from him. And we'll see if He's going to be able to hold on to that place and maybe make an attack on the Haas in front. These 5 cars have been joined at the hip for the last 5 or so laps. And Masticles appears to be just taking a little bit of time and distance between himself and Andre. Andre hovering around that 1 second 9/10 mark. If he does fall out of that DRS, it could be quite the task to get back inside it. So he'll be fighting hard to try and stay with him. And now Clean Break might have a good run on his teammate here. We'll see if any potential move is going to be made. He's flying along, and the Ferrari looks like he's making way for his teammate, who's now gained 10 positions in this race. He says, have a crack at the guys in front, and we'll see if Clean Break is going to be able to make any sort of impression, as Foliate, the man who had that moment just before, is now coming into the pits to change his tyres. And you can see all the top 11 on the mediums besides Jeff in the Haas. You'd imagine those soft runners are going to have to pit quite soon. Will the medium runners try and extend and go into the soft tyres, or play it safe and just run out the rest of the race on the hards? It could be a make or break decision for this race. And Kiwi's still trying to chase down Jeff, whose tyres have going to be starting to fall off here in the next couple of laps, you'd suspect. And Clean Break now putting the pressure on Banana Cake. And looks like he's going to be able to get this move done possibly, although he did lose just a bit of time there through that set of corners in the final sector. And now here goes Kiwi. Is he too far back? Is he going to make a move here on the Haas? No, he's absolutely flying along with that DRS, as is Clean Break in the Ferrari. So 2 moves being done in that train, and Kiwi is now going to try and fly away from Jeff. He's going to need to do a lot of work here in the next lap or so if he wants to relieve himself of that pressure. But he's up at a P5 now, and it's been a very interesting battle. Andre still not being able to find a way back past the McLaren. They were changing places lap for lap for most of it. And now we have a look down the race, so a little bit lower down the field. Trying to make a move on Keegs, runs deep, and that allows the Williams of False to come right towards his rear. And a better exit from down the racer here. He's going to possibly put some pressure on the Mercedes. DRS now open. Is he going to have a look here down the inside? Not quite. Just sticks behind for now. This is a little battle that's starting to develop between these three. Davis of the Alpine a couple seconds down the behind them on the road. But down the race are getting a really good run here as Jeff does make his way back past Kiwi. And Clean Break actually gets past both of them. So he's up into P5. So his run is complete. Here goes down the race up. And now the Williams of False going to try and have a look. Realises there's not quite enough room to make that move. And just sticks behind, waiting for something to open up. Is Keeg going to have another run back at Dan the Racer here? Not going to have quite enough speed, but Clean Break has gotten through that pack. He now leads that 5-car pack. And he's free to chase after all the drivers in front. Does he have the pace to match them? Will be the big question. Started last on the grid, up 13 places. What a drive it's been so far. And in the meantime, Liddy's actually pulled in the gap to the leader and is within DRS range. So could be game on up the front as well as we start to approach the pit window for most of the drivers. And the Haas starting to chase down that AlphaTauri. Can he make any impression on him? And Jeff does come into the pits to get rid of those soft tyres on lap 15. And he'll probably go onto the medium tyre, you'd suspect. And Banana Cake coming in also. Probably going to go onto the hard, you'd think. A little bit too long left in this race to go softs to the end from here. I suspect a few of those medium runners will be staying out a few more laps to try and go onto the softs, which will be the preferred tyre over the hards for the rest of the race. Dan the Racer, in the meantime, was right on the back of Keegs, but had a moment there, and unfortunately that's going to cost him a fair bit of time, and he's going to have to make that all up now. And Liddy is actually really gaining on Funana here, who was leading comfortably for the first 15 laps of this race by a couple of seconds, but all of a sudden it's now game on up front. And can that Haas make the move this lap? There's a real opportunity for it. Will both the drivers stay out here? Yes, they will. Could we see the first changing of hands in the leadership for the race? The DRS is going to be open here. And not pushing all the way here is Liddy, but he's going to make up enough time. Is he going to go for the move? It's going to be a late attempt. And just backs out of that one. That would have been extremely tight between them two. And wisely, Liddy has just pulled out of that one. He's been gaining over the last couple of laps. He knows he's going to get another chance here. And we're just over, just about up the halfway point of this race. And this is going to be a big moment here as we enter the pit stop phase. And Fernandez's pace has just sort of fallen away a little bit, it seems like, as Liddy now putting the pressure on. He's going to have DRS once again to give him the opportunity to close right up onto him. And as you can see, Masticles and Andre still battling it out behind. Andre doing a very impressive job in hanging on to the back there. And now here we go, down the main straight. Has Liddy made up enough time to make that move? He looks just probably a little bit too far back at this stage. Is he going to push to make that overtake? And Masticles and Andre both come into the pits now. I wonder what tyre they're going to go on to. It's going to be a big decision. And the Haas, in the meantime, just stays behind the lead up. Just allowing to pull him along a little bit. Don't want to be wasting too much of the tyres at this stage, battling for position. And Andre and Masticles come out in a very nice gap, or not quite. They might get out just in front of the Haas here. That's what they'd be hoping for. And they do. So out in 8th and 9th. So we'll see how they can make their way through the field on new hard tyres. Was that the right decision, or is it better to go onto the softs here, just wait it out a couple more laps? Tyre degradation usually pretty low around here. So it is definitely going to be possible to run out the race on softs. But obviously those last few laps are going to hurt. And Liddy 5/10 behind the lead up. And they both come into the pits now. What about the Ferrari of clean break? Is he going to follow them in or stay out another lap? He's going to follow them in. We'll see what tyres they go onto here. So they've just hit the halfway point. It is possible to go onto the soft tyres here should they choose to do so. But it looks like they're all going to go onto the hards. Oh no, the lead up of Funana has gone onto the softs, and he's just gotten in front of the Haas of Liddy there. So he's on the softs, Liddy on the hard tyres. So Funana is definitely going to have the advantage in this early phase. But will Liddy be able to make up the time at the end? It's going to be a big finish here between the two of them. And now the two McLaren teammates are very close together. They're going to need to sort this one out. Dan the Racer should just let Masticles through here, and he does. And now he's going to do everything to try and keep Andre behind, who's getting attacked by Jeff. And it looks like Jeff has made his way through on Andre there. A nice move. And he breaks late, and he spins Dan the Racer around there. And that was just a little bit of a mistake there by the Haas. Broke a bit too late. The driver in front on old tyres, so he's obviously going to be braking a little bit earlier, and unfortunate there. But here goes Masticles on Keegs now, making his way into 5th, and he's had a very good run here post pit stop, and has now pulled a bit of a gap to Andre and himself, which he's going to find some comfort in. Andre now stuck behind that Haas, Jeff, who made a very opportunistic move on him on the last lap. But now Andre going to be pushing hard here. The DRS open. Going to try and make a move. But unfortunately, Jeff also has that DRS from Kegs. How hard's Kegs going to fight this? Not too hard. allows the Haas through on those fresh tyres. Fernandez already pulled out, 2 seconds to Liddy. In the meantime, Kiwi and Steely both stay out, and they're going to probably pit onto the soft tyres and run them out to the end. We'll see how well they can do. And that's a nice move by Andre on Keegs there. And Masticles hasn't actually pulled as much of a gap as you would have hoped. So still definitely within striking distance for him. And in the meantime, Liddy's losing time, 2.3 seconds behind. But that advantage hopefully will be reined back in by the end of the race. Wheel to wheel goes Banana Cake with Keegs, who is really starting to struggle now on those medium tyres. And unfortunately, looks like Andre is disconnected here, so that's definitely going to hurt his progress. In the meantime, up front here, both Steely and Kiwi have been running those mediums for 20 laps now. And they're the last 2 drivers to stay on those mediums. Honest Crook has been running those hards since lap 1 as well. He's done a pretty good job in that stint. He's had to grind through the field there. And Steely just drops out of that DRS range for now. And the race just in a bit of a holding pattern for the moment as we wait for the end of the race here. Who is going to be able to show us their full pace? And Davis now gaining on Honest Crook here on those fresher tyres. Should be able to make light work of this pass, you'd imagine. And going to get the DRS now, as you can see, all over the back of that Alfa Romeo. And moving towards the outside now. And does make that move. Honest Crook doesn't fight it very hard whatsoever. And now that AlphaTauri starting to gain on the front 2, who are still yet to pit. They've done a very good job to hang on to those tyres for this amount of time. And the AlphaTauri's got to be careful here not to make any errors. Trying to get past the front 2 here. As you can see, the pace difference is unbelievable. And he's going to go for that move. Is Funa. No, and he's been spun around and into the wall. And that is a big, big moment in this race. It was a bit opportunistic. He did have way fresher tyres, although that probably wasn't the right spot to go for it. And unfortunately, that could cost him the race here. Looks like he's lost a bit of front wing. And now down in 9th position. And all of a sudden, the race has just turned in one big moment. And it was probably just a lapse in concentration, a bit of an over-eagerness to find his way through. And now down in 9th, and he's going to be fuming. And now the 2 leaders are coming into the pits as Liddy takes the lead of the race uncontested. He's 6 seconds clear of Masticles. Kiwi and Steely are both going to come onto the soft tyres. Is it going to be enough here? They're going to be a full pit stop behind pretty much of the leaders. But they've got fresh soft tyres to make their way through. And the AlphaTauri has in fact retired from the race. And frustration for him. In the meantime, Jeff has had an absolutely cracking last few laps up into P3 and now putting pressure on the McLaren. Could he be a chance at potentially securing a Haas 1-2 here? It'd be massive for the team here as we enter the final approximately 10 laps of the race. Can Kiwi and Steely make any impression on the leaders? It's going to be a big chase towards the end. They're probably about 20 seconds behind here. See if we can get gap to the leader. Doesn't seem to be working correctly. But here we go. Jeff on the back of Masticles now. Probably a little bit too far back to make this move here, but he has had a fantastic race. He's been, in fact, up 7 positions on the race so far. Banana Cake's up 5. And Clean Break's up 13, looking to make it 14 here, and through he goes into 4th place. He is definitely a candidate for driver of the day, is Clean Break. He has been absolutely magnificent. And here goes that Haas of Jeff. Gained a lot of time down the main straight. Is he going to have a go? Not quite, just going to stick behind for now. Can that Ferrari potentially put some pressure on the leaders here? Liddy has a 6-second gap to the McLaren. And with that AlphaTauri out of the race, it looks like it's going to be his race to lose now. And what an interesting race it's been so far. It looked to be all in the hands of Funana through this whole race. But all of a sudden, one little mistake and it's all over for him. So we see Banana Cake trying to hang on to the back of Clean Break. And Kiwi now starting his resurgence. Making his way past Andre, unfortunately. No longer in the race. Kiwi now in 6th. And the pursuit is beginning. Steely and Kiwi probably going to have to do a bit of teamwork here. The Williams and the Ferrari. If they want to be any chance in this race, as Jeff makes that move. And it's now Haas 1 and 2. And if you said that at the start of the race, I don't think anyone would have believed you, but they have had an absolute cracking race here. And they've got 9 laps to see if they can hang on. McLaren of Masticles, can he fight back at all? Does he have anything in the arsenal that he can use? Kiwi has been overtaken by Steely in the Ferrari. They do not want to be wasting time battling here. The best thing is for them to just drag each other along and bring their way back up. And Kiwi getting close to Steely here. Can they potentially catch Banana Cake and Clean Break 4th and 5th? That would be a great result for both of them. It'd be a great strategy call if they were able to make up that time. They're 7 seconds back for now. And now let's have a look. Masticle's going to try and make the move back on Jeff here. He's got the battery advantage and the DRS advantage. Through he goes into P2. And that battle, I believe, is going to just continue on for the rest of the race here. Jeff trying to fight it back around the outside. No way through there, but he's going to have a good run. He's going to go for that move down the inside. He is. It's a bold move. They're going to go wheel to wheel here through the first sector. And Jeff Mascal's going to have the inside line, but Jeff has that car length in front. And he does manage to get that place back. Beautiful move by him. And now Steely's pulled in a second to Banana Cake in 5th. So I think they should be able to catch the top 5 by the end of the race. It's just a question of how much they're going to be able to reel in here. And Honest Crook into the pits finally to make his first pit stop. Relegates him down to 15th. So we'll see if he can make any inroads on those soft tyres himself. And now it looks like the McLaren's going to be able to make that pass back once again with the DRS. And it's going to be mainly a game of battery saving and timing the run here for who's going to finish on the podium. You can see Clean Break now within that DRS range as well. He's come up 14 places and he would not mind a couple more. And he has been unstoppable this race, just making his way through the field quite comfortably. But they've still got a couple eager soft runners who are going to be flying back into the fray here in the last few laps. That's Steely and Kiwi. So will they have enough time, and will the tyres last long enough to bring themselves back into this one? And Clean Break has now joined this battle. It's going to add an interesting element here. And I think the instruction from the Ferrari teammate will be just slow these two down so he can get back into the race and see if they can get some great points for Ferrari from both cars. And Clean Break is going to try and make his way through. He's been the man of the race so far. He's been the standout. Definitely will be up there for driver of the day. And now at the DRS Open, is he going to make a move on the Haas of Jeff here. They're going to be gaining quickly on that McLaren as well. You can see the speed that Ferrari's got. He's going to be able to get both of them. They might be 3 wide into turn 1 here. And the Haas of Jeff staying with him. And off he goes into the wall. Clean break. It looked like he had the run there into P2, but unfortunately it's all come crashing down for him. And that is a devastating outcome for the Ferrari. He had an absolutely phenomenal race up until that point, and now the podium hopes have fallen away for him. He's down in 7th, and it looks like he should be able to hold it. But unfortunately, the podium was there to be taken. And just a little moment there into turn 1. I'm not sure whose fault it was. It might have been a little bit of a touch from Jeff there. But at the moment, he's in P2 now. And clean break pass now by his Ferrari teammate of Steely, who's 3.4 seconds behind Banana Cake. Will they be able to get close enough for that podium? They've got 6 laps to make up about 5 or 6 seconds. It's going to be a close battle. Kiwi is just stalking as well, letting that Ferrari pull him along, just waiting for his moment. But for now, this battle continues between these two. Masticles flying down the straight, and Jeff defends the inside. Masticles looking to get a good run here. Clean break, unfortunately, has to pit. I'd imagine for a front wing change, yep. And that really does rub salt into the wound here, because he's going to drop down to, I believe, 11th now. That's a massive shame, as Keegs now up into 7th over False, so a good fight back from him. And now Steely has gotten inside the 3-second range to Banana Cake. So 5 laps to go. How long are those soft tyres going to continue outpacing the hards for? It's going to be tough to say here, but it could make it more difficult as we get closer to the finish here. The hard tyres in their working window at the moment. And still a great battle neck and neck between these two for the 2nd and 3rd place on the podium here. Liddy has absolutely run away with this one. He's pulled a 10-second gap to his teammate, which has just been absolutely fantastic. He's been on fire ever since he had the chance to take the lead, and he has never looked back. But here goes that McLaren flying back in to turn 1 here. He's just going to sit behind him. He's going to be timing his run here. He's going to be thinking about that last lap. Banana Cake 2.2 seconds behind. Not too much of a threat at the moment. But Steely is 2.6 on the soft tyres. And that would be the main worry for these two at this late stage in the race. 4 laps to go. In the meantime, those lower points positions still being settled. False and Keegs have had a good one. They've slowly and quietly made their way through the field. And a few drivers having a bit of a lonely race here. Davis down in 10th. No one really near him. Clean break. We'll be hoping to try and crack it back into that top 10. At least maybe set a fastest lap. And then, so we'll go back up front now as we're about to enter the main straight. Is that McLaren of Masticles going to make that move now? It's going to be all strategic from here. That DRS, who's going to be able to utilise it better? And it looks like the move might be made. He's staying out of the slipstream though, so looks like intentionally just staying behind the Haas and waiting for that last lap. And gee, a big glitch there on the screen. Thankfully, no confusion was caused, but you can see the McLaren playing the tactical game here. Had the opportunity to get through, but stays behind for the moment. Will he be able to pull it off right at the end? Running really wide there was Jeff. Thankfully, is able to hang on to that position. And Steely now brings it inside 2 seconds to Banana Cake. And Banana Cake's actually caught up quite a lot to Masticles and Jeff. He's only 1.2 behind. So all of a sudden, he's back into this race for the podium. There's a few drivers that could yet still finish on the podium. Liddy has now got 12.5 seconds. What a performance it's been from him starting in 3rd. He'll be able to get this job done, you'd suspect, with 3 laps remaining. And Banana Cake is absolutely flying along here. Suddenly he's found a second wind, it looks like. And here we go, Masticles and Jeff Is Masticles going to make the move here? Is he going to stick behind him? Down this main straight. This could actually be hurting him not making the pass here because it's allowing the Alfa Romeo to gain time more quickly. And now he's got that DRS and you can see the Ferrari just behind as well. It's going to be game on here in the last few laps. It could potentially be 5 cars fighting for 2 places on the podium. A potential grandstand finish. It's been brilliant racing all evening long. And oh, it's a spin for Jeff. And on the second last lap. And all of a sudden the podium, which looked like it was going to be certain for him, has slid away. He's down in 6th now, and I believe possible damage. And that is a huge shame for him. He was going so well. It was a Haas 1-2 potentially. But now it's all over for him. He'll have to settle for probably no better than 6th here. But now Banana Cake is within 4/10 of the McLaren. What a last few laps he's had. He's really been able to find another gear. And now could potentially take 2nd place off him as we enter what is the penultimate lap of the race. Is he going to make the move here? Is he going to wait for the final lap? It's a big decision to be made here. And he's going to go for it. His Banana Cake into P2. He hadn't been on in the podium positions all race long, but it's where you are at the end of the race that counts, and he's up into P2 with a lap to go. Can he bring it home from here? Will Masticles have anything to fight back with? Steely and Kiwi 4th and 5th. It doesn't look like those soft tyres are going to have enough life in them to challenge for the podium, but they'll be more than content with the positions they're in from where they started their race. And now with just a lap and a half to go, Liddy is absolutely flying out in front. And the podium position still yet to be decided. Is it going to be the McLaren or the Alfa Romeo here? This is a big moment here. They're going to have one more lap after this. And down the main straight, both of these drivers are going to be putting as much into it as they have. They're going to use every resource at their disposal. And now Masticles. It's a big moment for him here as we round the final corner. Kiwi following Steely as well. He's waiting for his chance. And here we go. He's going to get a little bit of a slipstream from his teammate. It might not matter though because Masticles has absolutely flown through back into P2. He has had an absolute belter of a race. He does deserve to finish in P2. And Kiwi can't find a way past Steely here with the DRS to benefit. But now Banana Cake, he's got a whole lap to figure out a way to find his way back through on the McLaren. Is he going to be able to do anything? There's a yellow, and that's the lapped Alfa Romeo just slowing down there to allow the other drivers through. 5/10 a gap between Banana Cake and Masticles. Liddy is miles out in front. He is safe, and he is going to go home and come home and win this race. But there's one DRS zone left here. Who is going to be the man? It looks like Masticles is just going to have enough here. And rounding the final corner is Liddy. And he took advantage of the mistake. And he's been able to run home with this one. A fantastic win for the Haas, coming from 3rd on the grid to win comfortably by 12.5 seconds as well. Banana Cake wasn't able to catch Masticles. And Masticles drove a fantastic race. He's going to come home in P2. Banana Cake in P3. He had a fantastic race as well. And then Steely and Kiwi, 4th and 5th, with a bold strategy decision that ended up paying off for both of them. So a great drive from pretty much everyone in the top 5. And then Jeff comes home in 6th, had a possible P2, but unfortunately just went spinning out with a couple of laps to go. Keegs and False in 7th and 8th, followed by Davis, and then the Ferrari of Clean Break, who had some heartbreak today. He did finish 10th, which is a small consolation, but the podium was there for him. And there are a few drivers that had a really good shot at a podium today, but unfortunately it just fell away from them. But a fantastic race overall by Liddy. Absolutely dominated following the DNF of the AlphaTauri, who looked to be in control. But in the end, the Haas is going to bring it home. And what a fantastic finish it was. Very close right up to the end for the podium. Clean Break gets driver of the day. I think probably deserves it. Just one little moment at turn 1 allowed a podium to just fall away from him. So there's your podium. The Haas team take the first win. They'll be absolutely delighted with that. And then McLaren P2. And then the Alfa Romeo finishes P3. So Clean Break does take that fastest lap after changing onto the softs at the end. And there's your results. Liddy is going to take home the victory this evening for the first race of the season. What a start it has been. Thank you all for joining us. And we will see you all next week for another edition of this Race Spec action. And, yep, see you then.